Book me to fanfiction audiobook. Marvel, I Warner God King, declaring war on Asgard. Chapter 21 St1 Mother Sera, the land of giants is pacified. What the hell? The God King is the creator of the King of Stone Giants. Skirnir was speechless in surprise. Could it be the Stoneheart just now? Thinking that a terrifying giant stone giant was so easily created, the shocking feeling cannot be described in words. Skirnir's offer so high deepened. When it comes to Awakening Day, he is congratulating the birth of the King of Warnerheim. Now, he is convinced by Suhai himself. Even if Suhai ordered him to kill himself, Skirnir would do it without hesitation. He firmly believes that this behavior must be right. Not to mention the Skirnir changes. The group of stupid stone giants unknowingly fell into a strange circle of thinking. The King of Giants was created by the man in front of him. So what about them? Is it also created by the other party? The creator of the stone giant appeared. This idea was too terrifying, and they couldn't tell the truth for a while. Suhai saw the golems whispering to each other and knew that the plan was half done. The golems will certainly not question the authenticity of the Earth Elemental leader. Because they are creatures born from the origin of the Earth, and have the same root as the Elemental leader. Suhai controlled the wind and flew into the air, and said condescendingly to the leader of the Earth Element, "From today, your name is Sera. Thank you to the great Creator for giving your name." Sera lowered her fat body with difficulty, and such a small movement caused the earth to cry out. "Go Sera, go meet your children. They seem to have some misunderstandings about me, you know what to do. I will make them devote their loyalty to you, just as I do to you." Sera responded firmly. Suhai trusted Sera. If there is a stone giant who dares to object, Sera will definitely solve the opponent for him. Just a mere stone giant. Sera has the ability to create and grant earth elemental giants, and the strength of these elemental giants is often related to the strength of the materials that make up their bodies. After killing the stone giant, the big deal is to create a brand new giant from the remains of the opponent's body. It can be said that Sera's ability makes the stone giant a consumable recycling item. If Warnerheim launches a war in the future, the stone giant will become the best striker, bringing despair to the enemy. Moreover, Suhai has a rough estimate of Sera's strength. Stronger than Thor, Hulk. Because the action brought by Sera's body is unchanged, it may be weaker than Awakening Thor with a hammer. But it is already a good fighting force. He is currently the number 2 character at Warnerheim. With this kind of strength, even in the face of an elderly Odin, Sera can fight for a while. Next, it's the recognition part. Suhai invites Skirnir and the two to leave, and the next task is left to Sera. Their presence may make the atmosphere awkward. Wait until the three leave. Sera turned his gaze to the golem. A kind of aura spread out, in the eyes of the giant stone, it was the breath of the earth. Make them want to approach Sera unconsciously. This feeling affirmed the idea that the other party was also a stone giant. "My children, what are you still hesitation?" Sera said softly. After being stunned for a while, a stone giant came out and said hesitantly, "Are you really our king?" Sera grinned and said kindly, "I hope you can call me mother, stone mother, rather than calling me king." "Stone mother." Sera smiled, "My child, accept my blessings." Definitely, her smile is definitely not in line with human aesthetics. Just imagine a fat ant made of stones. However, for the giant stone giant who is also fat, this smile is probably not bad. While speaking, Sera sent a ball of energy to the stone giant who came out first. After the stone giant came into contact with the energy group, his body suddenly changed. The entire body has grown several times larger. From the previous height of more than 2 meters, it continued until it was more than 10 meters high. In front of many stone giants, he stood out from the crowd. What a powerful force! What a hard body! I feel like I can beat myself 100 times with one. Now the stone giant can no longer be distinguished from other giants, and it is more appropriate to use the mountain giant to call Roar. The other stone giants saw each other's changes, and no longer hesitation, they lowered their heads and said in unison, Stone Mother. Stone Mother Sira was very satisfied with the result, and continued, Good boy, go and gather all our clansmen on this land. Come along with me to send the most sincere blessings to the Creator. The other side. Suhai is already on his way home. He couldn't have been in the land of giants waiting for Sira to complete the task of ruling the stone giants. The time is very tight now, and he must improve his strength as much as possible. The magic that Kayla likes is a good choice. The magic of Azeroth has reached incredible heights. With enough magic power, it can even maintain a person's appearance and greatly increase a person's lifespan. Also, Suhai wants to learn the teleportation magic inside. The legendary magician Medivh once used teleportation magic for interstellar travel, and also opened a portal for the collective teleportation of the army for a long time. Before getting the new teleportation ability, Kaylazen's teleportation magic must be mastered. Soul-type forbidden magic also needs to be learned. On Earth, there is another magician group, the Kamartaj. The leader is Ancient One, known as the Sorcerer Supreme. Her real strength is probably not weaker than Odin. But not everyone can live unrestrainedly for hundreds of years after stealing the power of the Dark Dimension, without being polluted by the erosion of the Dark Dimension. In case of a conflict with the Ancient One, it is better to master some magic. If you can't see someone, you can give them time to exile, right? Besides, the Ancient One is also in charge of the Time Gem, so the time exile of the Bronze Dragon King is not necessarily easy to use. God King, is this the end of the Stone Giant? Skirnir is still dreaming. Trust Sira, she will give me a satisfactory answer. Suhai said with certainty. By the way, Skirnir, I may retreat for a period of time when I go back, and you will be responsible for supervising the progress of Warnerheim. Yes, I will take good care of them. Skirnir understood what Suhai meant. At the moment, the most volatile factor in Warnerheim is Charm Witch. And possibly the impending arrival of the alluring Banshee, Lorelei. Don't be nervous, I'll take care of them before the retreat. Suhai is not like Odin who has lost his drive and execution. Charming sisters can't turn the sky. Asterisk. Chapter 22 Lorelei arrives, terrified Amora. Just when Suhai returned from the home of the golems. Heimdall had brought Lorelei out of prison and brought him to Bifrost. Lorelei was taken out with a confused look, and then was told that her sister was enjoying the blessings of the Warner Protoss, and asked her if she wanted to go to Warnerheim. 2 points were especially emphasized. As long as she wants, she will be sent directly to Warnerheim to be reunited with Amora. If you don't want to, you can only enter dungeon again. In this regard, Lorelei agreed with a dubious idea. Then, Heimdall was really sent to the capital of Warnerheim. When she saw the elder sister of the Avatar chief magician, the whole person was not well. I was alone in prison and endured loneliness, and you have become a superior man and will lead an army of magic. She couldn't help but complained, Sister. You lived a very cool life, did you forget about my sister? When Amora saw Lorelei, her face was happy at first, and was greatly changed. Lorelei, how did you come out? Don't talk yet, did someone send you out? Lorelei nodded blankly, Heimdall sent me here, what's wrong? Damn it! Odin really didn't want to do good things. Amora was in a hurry. As a sister, she naturally knows what kind of person her sister is. Can you imagine the purpose of a magician learning magic, just to strengthen the effect of charm magic? It sounds outrageous, but there are people who do. Lorelei is such a person. Today, Lorelei has combined voice and charm magic, and Amora is ashamed. If it was okay in Asgard, she wouldn't say anything. But now it's in Warnerheim. While Suhai was gone, Amora had a sudden realization while studying magic. What is her purpose here? To be the queen of gods. Now what? Confused became the chief court magician. Why? Amora thought about it carefully, and finally came to a shocking conclusion. He was used by Odin to deal with the Warner Protoss, and the Warner God King may also know. Therefore, Suhai will arrange her to this position. Thinking of this, Amora felt a chill in her heart. Is this politics? You really aren't someone who plays politics. Maybe, studying magic is more suitable for me. And now, Lorelei is here too. With the other party's temperament, it might annoy God King Warner. The consequences could be disastrous. Lorelei, remember, don't use charm magic here. Amora urged urgently. What's the matter, sister? You've become so timid? It's not like you. Lorelei didn't realize the seriousness of the problem. Listen to me, you're right, oops, why did he come back so soon? Amora wanted to say something, but she felt a familiar wave of wind elements rapidly approaching the capital, so she had to make a long story short. Remember, don't try to confuse Suhai, the god of Warner, he's more powerful and mysterious than you can imagine. The more Lorelei listened, the more confused it became. Whether it was Heimdall or Amora, they were all weird, as if they had changed. Before she could continue to ask, Suhai had already returned to the palace. I saw Amora and Lorelei at a glance. Skirnir also saw the two of them. His expression changed slightly, he looked at Suhai without leaving a trace, and after getting the look of Suhai signaling him to leave, he nodded and turned away. Only when he left, he held the hilt of the sword tightly. He feels ashamed of Suhai being used by Odin, and his anger towards Odin rises sharply. Can't wait to poke two holes in Odin. Almost, he became a sinner of the Warner Protoss, and this revenge must be returned. Suhai's face remained unchanged, approaching Amora as usual. Lord God King, are things not going well? Do you want to mobilize the army to conquer the stone giants in the north? Seeing Suhai coming back so soon, Amora thought something was wrong. No, the golems will soon be integrated into the kingdom of God, and they will become my most loyal soldiers. Suhai said, looking at Lorelei. This famous seductive banshee has the same appearance as she knew before the time travel. When Amora heard the words, a storm surged in her heart. How long did it take to go to the Northland? Calculate the departure time, less than a day. During such a period of time, those stone giants with a single muscle in their brains have conceded defeat? Sounds like a lot of loyalty to Suhai. How did you do it? Amora feels more and more mysterious about Suhai. That is not felt in Odin. She noticed Suhai's gaze and gave Lorelei an anxious look. Lorelei was originally interested in Suhai. Lord Warner. That's the same high level as Odin. He is still so young and handsome. It is simply the Prince Charming in her heart. When she was thinking about whether to use charm, she was warned again by Amora, hesitation for a while, and finally chose to give up. Suhai looked at Amora with a half-smile, and got an awkward but polite smile. Amora, is this your sister Lorelei? Very pretty. Lorelei was about to say something when Amora interrupted her. Lorella specifically wanted to help me after hearing that I came to Warnerheim, but I didn't agree without your permission. Lorelei was even more confused. Guys, don't let me talk. Is this? Sister's reaction is too great. Is there something wrong in there? Lorelei wasn't stupid, and combined with the spate of oddities, he vaguely realized that there might be a big problem. Possibly directly related to her. Therefore, she simply smiled and showed the most formal court etiquette, showing the image of an elegant lady. Suhai thought for a moment, and knew that Amora had sensed Odin's plan and chose to be on his side. If that's the case, then the matter is settled. Lorelei's problems are handled by Amora. So, Suhai said, since Lorelei wants to help you, that's okay, let her be your deputy. Also, you have time to bring all the magic books related to mind and teleportation to me. I am useful. I understand, I will arrange it as soon as possible and send it to you. After explaining the matter, Suhai left directly. Amora glanced around and quickly pulled Lorelei away. It's dangerous in my heart. Facing the mysterious and powerful Suhai, Amora's pressure is only higher than when facing Odin. The latter is just an old god king who may die at any time. The former, however, is a rising star, exuding a stunning and dazzling brilliance. Asterisk. Chapter 23 Suhai and number 039, S promise, cross the timeline. Go back inside the house. Suhai deliberately came to the mirror to take a look. The man in the mirror is still so handsome, and his angular muscles make him full of masculinity. There is no doubt that he is definitely a handsome guy of Yanzhou, Guangzai, Yuyan, and readers. Maybe I haven't gotten to the point where I like him madly as soon as I see it, but I'm not afraid to look like that. However, both Skirnir and Amora have been in awe of him lately. It seems that this is the inevitable result of power and strength. Suhai laughed dumbly. As long as he is still in this position, it is estimated that it will be difficult to return to the time of ordinary people in this lifetime. He has no regrets. Since he came to Marvel, he always had to make some achievements. Fighting against all kinds of strong people is also a very fulfilling thing. Moreover, isn't it an exciting event to lead the defeated Warner Protoss to glory again? Amora's efficiency is very fast, and it can be seen that she is already familiar with the preliminary work. It didn't take long for the spellbook Suhai needed. God King, that, my sister she. Amora said hesitantly, showing a tangled expression. Don't worry, I won't let Lorelei have other thoughts, I promise. Suhai nodded and praised, Amora, you are very smart, you know my bottom line, I might as well tell you, as long as you can work hard for me and make enough contributions, the position of the goddess and concubine is not impossible to consider. My goddess and concubine don't want a vase, light will charm magic, and it will never meet the requirements, do you understand? Amora's heart moved, and she smiled sweetly and said, I see, I will tell Lorelei your request, and use time to prove to you that Amora is no worse than anyone. Amora's mind came alive with Suhai's words. She also thought before that she might never have the chance to sit in the position of the Queen of God, so she didn't dare to think about it. Now that she has Suhai's cue, she naturally knows what to do. The chief court magician is her best chance to perform. She has a better chance than others. Building and perfecting the magic legion is the first step. Suddenly, Suhai inspired the Amora team to be motivated. Amora left contentedly. Suhai also started flipping through the magic book, and that's when he found out. Not only the collection of Kalazan and the Warner Protoss, but even the magic of the Aesir Protoss was sent over by Amora. If Odin finds out, he will probably yell again. Here, the knowledge of teleportation and spiritual magic alone is piled up in a corner. It can be seen that every outstanding magician is a qualified scholar and researcher. The number of books to read and learn and the complexity of knowledge to master in a lifetime can make students in ancient Eastern countries also resigned. What ancient languages, magical languages, or complex mathematical formulas, world-class mathematical problems, all magicians need to learn. The magic of Azeroth requires magician to master the alchemy related to chemical physics, the deep energy composition related to the universe, and so on. The breadth and depth of coverage is astounding. Therefore, if you don't have amazing luck and magic ability, you should not learn magic. It's not something that ordinary people can study. The above is what Suhai felt after simply reading the magic book. Fortunately, he is hanging ratio. The addition of the power of the God King not only gave him the power to rival Odin, but also strengthened his brain, and his memory reached an unbelievable level. After reading the magic book, I remember it in my mind, and I can study it step by step at any time. But it still takes time. Suhai sighed. Right now, what he lacks the most is time. Going to other timelines to practice ability can't be delayed. Suhai immediately activated the Time Authority, trying to find a suitable timeline from the long river of time. Only this time, Suhai suddenly encountered a problem. He found a line very smoothly, and when he was about to set off, a cloud-shaped object appeared in front of him. What if it's not Elrios? It seems, the timeline to the parallel universe was blocked by Ilias controlled by Kong long ago. All the problems are back to square one. It takes a lot of time to develop strength. If you want to have a lot of time, you have to go to other universes along the timeline. After all, he doesn't have the dimension shuttle ability. But Ilias blocked the timeline again. And to defeat Elrios, you have to have a strong spiritual power. It takes a lot of time to master the power of the mind. Man, it's a perfect closed loop. Suhai thought about it for a while. Since you can't go to other universes, you have to start with this timeline. The only way he can think of is to go to the past of this timeline and find a remote place where there will never be people, and it will not affect the overall development of the timeline. Have it. Return to the past. Go to Warnerheim 1,000 years ago, as long as he carves out a free-moving space in the depths of the ocean, wouldn't that be fine? At that time, the Warner Protoss had no God King, and it was impossible for anyone to find him. Heimdall wouldn't have any trouble looking at what's under the ocean either. Just observing the state of affairs in the universe is enough for him to toss. Moreover, this method also has the advantage that he can not only practice magic, become familiar with ability, but also constantly improve the power of God King. The sign-in system can also continue to be used. With the accumulation of time, no matter how bad it is, you can still brush some good things. Perfect. Suhai sank into the timeline again, and went against the current of the river, finding the time point he wanted in the surging river. One head plunged in. Came to the depths of the ocean in Warnerheim, used divine power to open up a huge space, and also constantly pumped oxygen in from the sea. Then, the long practice began. Asterisk. Chapter 24 Odin panicked. Pressure from the Warner Protoss. Time passed quietly. In the eyes of others, Suhai closed himself in the palace and did not necessarily come out once a day. Although Suhai rarely shows up, Warnerheim still has a major change. The reservists of the Magic Corps, carefully selected from various places, have already started to learn magic on a large scale in the capital. In the past, they did not have the ability to learn magic because of bloodline problems. And now with Kalazan, it is possible to learn magic. Thousands of magician apprentices can be seen practicing magic every day. Not only that. Under the command of Skirnir, the soldiers of the traditional army also began to recruit and expand the army and conduct strict military training. The entire city of gods swept away the indulgence and became energetic. At the same time, the inhabitants of the capital of the gods also found that stone giants from the north continued to settle in the nearby mountains under the guidance of soldiers. Different from the violent and ferocious image in the legend, the stone giant behaves more honestly than his own pet. Well, it's also much bigger than the rumored one. A mountain giant more than 10 meters high, what a terrifying war machine! In the discussion of giants, the words Stone Mother and God King appeared most frequently. When these two names are mentioned, it is especially pious. The people in the capital of God were very surprised. The stone giant has completely surrendered? The new God King is too powerful. It is so easy to accomplish what the gods and kings have never done in the past. Compared with the harmony of the residents of the capital of the gods, the other god race couldn't sit still. Odin has been hearing bad news every day these days. Thor is in Midgard, never thought to get Mjolnir again, and has lost himself in the mortal bar. Odin had no chance even if he wanted to release water. The only consolation is that Thor seems to have a mortal friend. Perhaps, Thor will be able to lift the hammer soon. But the biggest trouble is not in Thor, but in Warnerheim. Odin recalled the situation reported by Heimdall, and his heart was still a little blocked. Who dares to believe that Amora and Lorelei, the two sisters who were labeled as terrorists, actually did nothing? He also taught apprentices honestly. Every day is not spent researching new magic, or teaching the Magic Legion to the Warner Protoss. What is this? Turn your arms out? As Asgards, the two of you have been making riots at home, making Asgard restless all day. In an outsider's home, she is virtuous and wise, like a little sister next door. My Asgard is worse than Warnerheim? My Odin is worse than Suhai. Odin couldn't understand what the charming sisters were doing, and he couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. Do you despise my age? Still not as handsome as Suhai? Leave the king of God unpleasant, and run to please a 20-year-old kid? He wants them to go to Warnerheim to make trouble, not to cultivate talents for each other. The other problem is more troublesome. The stone giant announced that they all integrated into the Warner Protoss. This news was like a bolt from the blue. Odin couldn't believe his ears. In addition, the stone giant also appeared a king who had never heard of it, the stone mother Sira. According to Heimdall, Sira's powers are bizarre and can increase the power of Golem, which even Surti and Lauf can't do. Its own strength is also very strong, and Heimdall can feel a majestic energy breath. That is to say, in just a few days, Warnerheim has accomplished what was only possible for hundreds of thousands of years. The overall strength has risen to the point where Odin is afraid of it. Does Asgard still have absolute strength to suppress? Odin panicked, and faith began to shake. This increase in speed, I am afraid he does not need to burp. The Warner Protoss has the ability to push him directly from the throne. How to do? He couldn't bear that day to come. However, he also did not have the courage to fight Warnerheim. He's getting old. War requires energetic young people to be competent. However, Thor lingers in the Midgard bar, not knowing how long it will take to pick up the hammer, wanting the power of awakening Thor, but not knowing how long it will take. As for Loki, it's not of Asgard blood. If the other party knows that he is from the blood of giants of Jotunheim, I don't know what troubles will arise. Two children are not better than the other. All of a sudden, Odin thought of a name, Hela. That daughter, Zeng-jin, is his greatest pride, and his personality is especially similar to him in his prime. Fighting, brave, and powerful. It's just that Odin got old and didn't want to fight again, which went against Hela's extreme belligerence. In addition, Hela often sings against him publicly, and has the idea of leading troops loyal to her to go beyond the 9 realms. So, Odin had to seal it and slaughter Hela's loyal legion. In order to crusade Hela, Asgard's most powerful and elite army, the Valkyrie Legion, was also wiped out. After this incident, Asgard's strength has shrunk by half. The price is so great that Odin's heart aches every time he thinks about it. It was at that beginning that Asgard inevitably fell into decline. However, if things really reach an irreversible day, it can be considered to release Hela to deal with the army in Warnerheim. At this moment, Odin, because of the pressure of Warnerheim, has already thought of giving up the original plan. Warnerheim's daily regiment of the army has to be guarded. War, may be imminent, **. Chapter 25 Artifact Trident. The power of 12 spells. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Aquaman Trident. Congratulations to the host for signing in to get Tomcat's mouse catching experience. Congratulations to the host for signing in and getting the designated bad luck charm. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the frog cooking technique of Grey Wolf. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the full-level holy light of Gandalf the Grey Robe. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the dragon talisman of the 12 talismans. 10 days have passed for Warnerheim, more than 10 days for Suhai. 10 years of life in the deep sea, daily training of ability, and learning of magic. Suhai finally couldn't stand the endless loneliness. After learning to master teleportation magic, he destroyed the shield and returned to the original timeline. For the past 10 years, Suhai has returned to the capital of the gods once a year. But that kind of loneliness is still enough to drive anyone crazy. Suhai even felt like he had a deep-sea phobia. As he has mastered the power of the ocean, he actually feels uncomfortable with the ocean. If you say it, no one will believe it. But that's what it is. He is not a congenital deity in mythology. He was born in the ocean and is used to loneliness. Before he became the king of gods, he was just an ordinary human with 7 emotions and 6 desires. When you are separated from the crowd and live alone in the dark and deep sea for 10 years, it is a fluke that your character does not become withdrawn. For 10 years, the rewards for signing in Suhai were not that great. The best thing is the artifact Aquaman Trident, and 12 spells. The Aquaman Trident, derived from the DC world Atlantis, is golden as a whole and indestructible. Perhaps because of the power of the ocean, Suhai can still exert the power of the trident without the Atlantean bloodline. After the experimentation, the Aquaman Trident was put aside. How to say, for Suhai, it's just the icing on the cake. His original strength is comparable to that of Aquaman, who is the main god, and there is no increase in holding a trident. Compared with foreign objects, he wants to improve his own ability. Foreign objects can be lost, an ability truly belongs to oneself. As for the 12 spells, they are the special magic items in the adventures of a certain dragon, and they are also the source of the Holy Master's power. The 12 spells represent the zodiac, which can enable the host to have the ability to transform static into dynamic, infinite power, balance between yin and yang, super speed, energy burst, invisibility, recovery, soul astral, shape-shifting, floating, immortality, electric eye, etc. Among them, some are tasteless, and some are quite practical. The healing of the horse charm and the immortality of the dog charm combine to greatly protect Suhai's life. Wolverine's restoration ability also has to stand aside before the two are combined. He can only be threatened by abilities and spells modified by a seal or higher reality. The power of the cow talisman is infinite, and after blessing Suhai, the power has been multiplied several times. Now without the blessing of divine power, you can wrench the wrist with Hulk with only physical strength. Once blessed with divine power, it is estimated that Hulk will be able to cast a psychological shadow. The super speed of the rabbit charm is also good, giving Suhai the supersonic attack ability. If he can continue to increase the fit, he can even surpass the high-speed movement and achieve the ability to travel through time and space. There is also a sheep charm that can soul astral, which should have a good effect against Ancient One. Other spells are basically dispensable. Output damage with output is not high. The control of the play assist is not enough. It's okay to bully the third-tier heroes, but it's very reluctant to go up. In addition to being used in battle, the effect of using it to compare in front of ordinary people is estimated to be very good. Another point, the more the strength of the 12 spells matches the user, the stronger the power will be. The potential space of the 12 spells is huge. Now, Suhai has mastered the power of the God King. With the addition of 12 spells, Suhai is confident that he can draw against Odin without using the power of time. And, in the end, only him will win. Odin is old, and his physical defense is similar to Thor's. And the Warner Protoss is not good at recovery except Hela. In high-intensity combat, the longer the battle, the more injuries and the weaker the strength. And with the horse and dog spells, Suhai will only get stronger. In terms of magic, teleportation magic and spiritual magic are also highly accomplished. As long as you can find the right magic materials, you can create cross-border portals on 2 planets to achieve Legion-level interstellar teleportation. Portals, while not as convenient as Bifrost, are a huge step forward for Warnerheim. The 2 sides are no longer out of reach in terms of the ability to project troops over long distances. Overall, with the addition of enhanced stone giants, the current Warner gods have the same basic combat ability as Asgard, and equipment problems can bring the dwarfs over at any time. In terms of mid to high-end combat power, with Mutation, the two sides are almost the same. Now, Suhai has one more question to consider. Bifrost. This is an explosive star artifact. If Odin feels powerless to deal with the growing Warner Protoss, he might use Bifrost to destroy the Warner Protoss. Suhai doesn't have to worry about her own safety. But not Warnerheim. Under the Bifrost attack, the entire Warner Protoss will be history. Suhai's God King power will also be greatly weakened by the destruction of Warnerheim. Therefore, we must find a way to prevent this day from coming. Or, Suhai alone teleports into Asgard to destroy Bifrost. Or, find a way to fend off Bifrost's attack. The former needs to have the coordinates of Asgard, but not the root cause. Bifrost is fixable. The latter will acquire new abilities or technologies by signing in. Until then, forbearance is necessary. Suhai has this patience. Since he can live in Warnerheim where the gods are everywhere for 20 years as an ordinary person, what is the difficulty of this time? He also believes that the power comparison between the Warner Protoss and the Aesir Protoss will soon undergo a major reversal. After all, before that, who could believe that the Warner Protoss had returned to its peak in just a month? Asterisk. Chapter 26 Assign tasks and go to the void. City of God. After Suhai came back, everyone seemed to have a backbone, and everyone was very excited. While reporting on the events of the past few days, Suhai also discovered an interesting thing. The seductive Banshee Lorelei looked at her with enthusiasm and admiration. It even made people suspect that Lorelei would rush over the next moment. But that didn't happen. Lorelei controlled herself and did her job impartially and dutifully. Suhai sits on the throne and listens carefully to everyone's reports, and is very satisfied with the progress of everyone's work. Warnerheim is starting to get on the right track in the military, and he doesn't have to worry about those things either. As a king, it is impossible to spend too much energy on something, and some things must be delegated to subordinates. All he needs to do is to ensure the loyalty of his subordinates. At present, several people can be trusted. As long as you remain strong and mysterious in the future, and continue to show incredible ability, then everyone will not have unreasonable thoughts. Next, it's time to move on to assigning work. Skinnier, how is Warnerheim's scientific research ability? Is there any spaceship's scientific research reserve? At the current level, do you have the conditions to build a spaceship? Skirnir said embarrassedly, God King, since the death of God King Njord, we have not been able to study those things for thousands of years, and the scientific research reserve has also been lost due to the war. If you want to pick it up again, I'm afraid it will take at least a few decades, so. Well, the last bit of luck is gone. The dignified Protoss, actually reduced to the point of playing with giants of Jotunheim and Flame Giant. I see, you go and call all the people with scientific research ability in Warnerheim to the capital, and I will get some scientific research technology for them to study, as soon as possible. Yes, God King. After Suhai explained, he continued, Amora, how are your skills in shape-shifting and phantom magic? Can you fool Heimdall? Amora said to himself, no problem at all, he wants to see through my magic, but he is not qualified. After the incident 600 years ago was exposed, the reason why she was not caught was not only that she was not the mastermind, but also that she had higher magical attainments and escaped the pursuit time and time again. Heimdall also had nothing to do with her. Well, then you can start researching a magic barrier. The bigger the magic barrier, the better, at least it should cover the entire city of gods. I don't want Heimdall to monitor our city of gods as if he were his own. Is there any problem? Heimdall has no doubts about Odin's loyalists. If you can become a foreigner and become the patron saint of Asgard, you can see the opponent's position. Suhai was not sure of making the opponent change sides. The all-seeing eye has to be guarded against. Amora hesitated, it should be fine, but I need the higher authority of Kailazan, use Kailazan as energy, start with its original prohibition, and combine the magical knowledge of other worlds. The possibility of realization is very high. Okay, this thing has to be done as soon as possible. What I want Heimdall to see can only be what we want him to see. Suhai looked at the last person, Lorelei. Stone Mother Sira was not present. She would continue to create various earth element life in the hometown of stone giants. There are many kinds of stones and strong earth elements, which is the best place to create earth elements. As far as he knows, Sira has already developed a clay golem as cannon fodder, a rock golem as a core force, and a granite golem as a main force, just called Roar. Among them, the granite puppet is made of special rock, has a certain magical immunity ability, and is not inferior to the mountain giant. That is, these puppet creatures do not have intelligence and only obey Sira's orders. Even so, it's an excellent weapon. Lorelei, I'm going somewhere, you go with me, would you like to? I do. Lorelei said excitedly. Okay, that's it, Lorelei stays, you all go out. Before leaving, Amora asked Lorelei uneasy, remember what I said before? When the two left, beyond Suhas's expectations, Lorelei was able to hold back her excitement and didn't try to get in the distance. It seemed that he still didn't really understand Lorelei's nature. This time, Lorelei was left exclusively, not for the purpose of being a trailblazer. What he saw was the other party's accomplishments in charm magic. Charm magic, to put it bluntly, is also a kind of spiritual magic. Suhai intends to go to the Time Void and meet Elrios for a while. See if you can try to control Ilias. If the control is successful, the Void is his back garden. In the Void, there are a lot of garbage. And these garbage, in Suhas's view, there are many treasures. It has a huge role in promoting the development of Warnerheim. Even though Elrios has been devouring day in and day out, there are always useful fish that slip through the net. If you put it there, it will be swallowed up sooner or later. If you don't take it, you will not take it. Then, under Lorelei's surprised eyes, Suhai grabbed her hand, hold tight, we're going to a dangerous place, don't run around. After speaking, the two figures disappeared instantly. Asterisk. Chapter 27 Space Storage, Loki Group in the Void. Void. Marvel's Void is probably the lowest one in each film or comic work. If it wasn't for the existence of Elrios, who raised the bar, people who came here would only think that the Void equals a super garbage dump. The tattered iron ship, the stone statue that looks like the head of the Court of Life, the head of Thanos who was decapitated, the helicopter marked with Thanos' name. At a glance, you can always see a few familiar things. God King, what is this place? It seems strange. It seems that there is no life here. Remembering the danger Suhai said, Lorelei started to be on guard after entering. This is a cage made by a scientist, and a terrifying monster is imprisoned. One of our goals today is that monster. Suhai was looking for the trail of Elrios, but the void was too big, and the luck was not good, so he didn't meet Elrios. System, sign in now. When you come to a special place, you still have to go for a check-in. The check-in location is detected to be empty, and the check-in similarity increases. Congratulations to the host for getting the sign-in reward, A-level ability Space Storage. Space Storage, it becomes a small world space, you can store dead objects at any time. Hehe, a must for traversers, a substitute for a space ring? Suhai took a look. The small world of Space Storage links is probably as big as a small planet. If it can hold living things, it is comfortable. Directly put the army into the space, and then go to the rear of the Empire alone to release the army, killing indiscriminately. The timing of the space storage is just right. It just so happens that there is something worth taking in the void, like Mjolnir above a certain ship. Here, too, the spaceship is ready-made. Now there is space for storage, which is so much more convenient. You can bring whatever you want, no need to struggle with the choice. Just then, a figure appeared on the distant horizon. He looked this way. And then a second, a third. Loki group. Loki lives up to his reputation as a god of tricks and a master of escape. Even if you come to the void, you can get a taste. In the void, only the cunning Loki can escape Elrios. No other life could survive being chased by Elrios. Suhai believes that this may have something to do with Kong the Conqueror. Because the successor chosen by Kong the Conqueror is Loki. Keeping Loki in the void is also to choose the right person. In the end, he does pick out two unusual Loki and guides them through the castle step by step to the final handover. However, Kong the Conqueror failed to achieve his goal. Got stabbed to death by stupid girl Loki. Became the boss with the highest B level but the most speechless death. Who would have thought that a strong man who used countless timelines as toys would be put in by the female Loki with a white knife and a red knife, and went offline directly. However, Kong the Conqueror is not counted. He just answered the sentence, "If I fall, there will be thousands of me standing up." The Kanghui of other timelines takes over the time administration again, and then starts the war. Wow, come and see, is it the new Loki again? And one is a girl? Female Loki, that's funny. Come on, you guys got locked in by those bad guys again for doing something. A Loki with a meteor hammer walked up to the two. You are all Loki. Lorelei was very puzzled when she saw the familiar outfit. Got so many Loki? Real or fake? Definitely, in this world, only Loki can survive. At this time, a Loki dressed in a green suit, dressed in fashion, and very close to the Earth style, pushed him away and spread his hands. "Hello, welcome to my kingdom. You can call me the king, or you can call me the president." President Loki. A guy who was arrested by the Time Mutation Authority for running for president. After coming to the Void, he always wanted to rule all Loki to become the Loki King of the Void. However, how could any other Loki ever accept that another Loki stepped on his head? Bang! All Loki turned their weapons on him. "I am the king." "Fuck off." "Obviously I am." "Who said that? Wasn't it always me?" "You idiots! Do you know what you're doing? You dare to point your weapon at your king? You!" President Loki's face is extremely ugly. PSST. Lorelei couldn't help it. It turned out that Loki was so weird. The corners of Suha's mouth also twitched slightly. Probably, Loki is the only one who can kill the parallel world self like a pig without blinking an eye. As for the reason for killing himself, that is, the name of a king. Ruthless. Okay, I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. To be honest, neither of us are Loki, but I am also the only real king in the room, God King Warner. Suhai didn't have the time to watch a group of Loki perform his own domination, his own rebellion, his own stab at his own drama, and straight to the point, "Tell me, who knows where Ilias is?" "Not Loki? God Warner. Specially for Elrios." The Loki looked at each other in dismay, and then a unified jeer broke out. "Ha ha ha, listen, it turned out to be the poor neighbor from Warnerheim, and he wanted to find Ilias. This must be the most outrageous joke I've heard." Asterisk. Chapter 28 The Battle for Ilias, the three-way wrestling. God Warner, isn't it? Just you? Oh, I see. So you were cut here because you wanted to run to Warnerheim to be king, right? I didn't say, what are you doing wrong? You have to go to Warnerheim, can you? Tell you, Warnerheim is my turf. Because I will always be the king of Asgard. A Loki jumped out and laughed. It's just that the other Loki didn't buy it. They agreed in the front, and they all opposed the last sentence. "I am the king of Asgard, you bastard, what nonsense are you talking about? Hey, maybe you should grow my dagger and try to feel cool, then you'll know who's king." Seeing the Loki wielding daggers, meteor hammers, broadswords and other weapons, they are ready to move. It seems that the full martial arts will start in the next second. Suhai spoke up, everyone shut up. When the words fell, he instantly came to the first mocking Loki, and punched it. Boom! This shot is full of firepower. Not a trace left. Under the blessing of the cow spell and divine power, Loki was completely unable to react, and was punched into the sky, turning into a black spot and disappearing in a series of fakes shocked roar sound. After this blow, even with Loki's physique, don't expect to be intact. The probability of death is very high. For a moment, the air fell silent. He looked at his temporary companion who had disappeared, and then at Suhai, looking at each other. This terrifying power, this strange speed, or human? Thor is not so exaggerated. At the moment, it's as if a tiger is mixed in with a pack of pet dogs that are vying for the Dog King. It is not an existence of an order of magnitude at all. Status crisis. The Loki have realized where the biggest trouble lies. Perhaps it is really as the other party said, it is really the Warner King. Quiet? Can you tell me the answer to the question just now? Suhai clapped his hands and scanned the Loki group. Loki, who was touched by his gaze, shuddered. The enemy is strong and I am weak, so admit it. That, we don't know where Ilias is. That monster is the king of the void. It comes and goes without a trace, and it may appear anywhere, anytime, anywhere. We have always been pursued, and we can only be exhausted in the void. There is a Loki no said. Oh, why did the king of the void change again? The throne changes so quickly. Suhai looked at President Loki with a half-smiling half-smile. Cough, God King Warner, I was just joking, don't mind. President Loki hid the dagger behind him and sneered. People, you can't brag about what you can't get, and let's talk about it. What, you say that I am a god and not a man? Which law says that God can't talk? Take it out and I'll see, I'll stab him. In the strange atmosphere, a violent aura suddenly approached quickly from the direction of the flying Loki. Everyone felt that icy feeling, and their faces were horrified. It's him. Void Death God Ilias. Damn it! That flying Loki alarmed the Death God. Suhai and Lorelei looked over. In the distant sky, a group of clouds, lightning, and flying sand and stones gathered together. A behemoth galloped towards the crowd. Any object that stands in front of it disappears in front of a big mouth that looks like it is open. This is Ilias. A monster that can devour all energy and matter, and even time and space. When it eats, it is like a tengu. Well, in fact, Ilias is indeed Kong the Conqueror's watchdog. Ilias got closer and closer. The Loki had already started screaming and running away. When Lorelei saw this monster, her face turned pale. Since Suhai was talking about Ilias as always, she subconsciously thought that the Lokis were cowards who were so afraid of Ilias. However, now that I really met Ilias, I found out that the other party is really a terrifying monster. Under the instinctive oppression of living things, people will not even have the will to resist. God King, what should we do? Although Lorelei was frightened, she still trusted Suhai and held back her fear without turning around and running away. Try to control it. Hey? Control it. Lorelei was stunned. Control the mind of Ilias like you control other people. Suhai said seriously. Can we really do it? Does this thing seem to be controllable? Although Lorelei is very confident in her charm magic. But she can't even control Thor, how can she control such a monster? Ilias got closer and closer. The distance between the two was only a few dozen meters away. This distance, in front of the huge Ilias, is not even a length. Lorelei, activate spiritual magic. Suhai knew it was time to do it, even though he had 12 spells, he was immune to most lethal damage. But Ilias' attack method obviously exceeded the upper limit of the spell. He must keep a safe distance, and if he cannot control it, he must have time to escape. The voice fell. Suhai and Lorelei activated their magic at the same time, and two red magics rushed towards Ilias, blending into the black mist very smoothly. Like the part of the head, spiritual magic surged wildly in the head. The black mist also became violent. Two energies compete for control of the body in Ilias' brain. Suhai's mind magic is more than one line stronger than Loki, who just learned mind magic in Loki. Not even female Loki Sivir is better than him. Lorelei is also good at this. The two of them working together will never be worse than two Loki teaming up. Obviously, Kong must have deliberately let the water go when the two female Loki were fighting against Ilias. At least Suhai felt the outcome of this battle, and it was hard to say. Ilias' resistance is much stronger than he imagined. End of time. The Legacy Kong has discovered the Battle of the Void. After seeing the person who was fighting against Ilias, he smiled wryly and shook his head. Not easy to do. This role, he really does not want to provoke. Now that he is so strong, and he has mastered time, he, an ordinary person who masters time technology, has no chance of winning. But, no matter what, Ilias is his support to isolate him from other parallel universes. Once Ilias is under control, it is possible that Kong from other universes will notice and break into his realm. At that time, after losing Ilias, it will be difficult for him to resist. Long-standing balances will also be broken, once again plunged into multi-universe warfare. So, Kong shot. Use the machine that controls Ilias. When the third-party force joined, Suhai immediately noticed the abnormality. The power of these words is extremely powerful in controlling Ilias. With the strength of Suhai at the moment's psychic power, it is impossible to take control of Ilias from the opponent's hand. Perhaps, only mutant Professor X, who has obtained the brain-strengthening instrument, has this kind of strength. So, with the help of a third-party power, Ilias quickly got rid of the entanglement of spiritual power. Whether realizing the threat level of Suhai or being controlled by Kong, Ilias chose to escape directly into the timeline and fled elsewhere. The battle is over. Lorelei looked pale. Although the battle for the mind did not last long, the consumption of spirit and magic was enormous. And a few heads appeared on the distant mountains. It was the Loki group that escaped just now. At the moment, their mouths are wide open. What? I read that right, that guy actually drove Ilias away. Asterisk. Chapter 29 President Loki surrenders, free labor. How strong is Ilias? The Loki have been in the void for a long time, and have become accustomed to seeing countless creatures devoured by it. Any of the attacks that have already been done cannot pose a threat to Ilias. In Loki's eyes, Ilias is an invincible existence. They even suspected that Odin's coming here was just one of the other's dishes. However, what did they see? Ilias actually fled with the God King who claimed to be from Warnerheim. The void is about to change. President Loki's eyelids twitch. He has been plotting how to become king of the Loki and master of the void. As a result, his plan was smashed by an outsider before it even started. Everyone is not in the same grade, and there are countless steps in the middle. How to play? Fortunately, this guy is not in the timeline I am in. There is such a terrifying king of Warner, Asgard will take a pill sooner or later. It seems that there is no difference now. President Loki felt a little discouraged at the thought that he didn't have the ability to leave the void. Oops, he's here. He's here. Shall we run away? A shock roar woke everyone up. I saw Suhai walking towards them again after his plan to subdue Ilias failed. Run? How do you run? You think he's the brainless idiot of Ilias? President Loki cursed angrily. The next second, President Loki put away the dagger, with a flattering smile on his face. Great King Warner, your power is too powerful. Even Ilias is no match for you. I strongly suggest that in the future, Void, you will be the king. Why, aren't you very interested in this position? Now that Ilias is gone, your chance is not here. Suhai quipped. President Loki sneered, how can I have this qualification? The throne is naturally inhabited by the virtuous, and it is up to you to occupy this position, which is what everyone expects. Yes, I can see that you know a lot about the culture of the earth. Suhai also praised, President Loki is indeed a wonderful flower. To be able to think of running for the President of the United States, and to know some old sayings of long ago, must have put in a lot of effort. What do you think? Suhai looked at the other Loki. We agree, 100 agree. Loki nodded in agreement. What about disapproval? Loki, who was just swallowed by Ilias, is the opposite. In this world, strength is virtue. Disagree? Just get dressed. Okay, since that's the case, then I will issue the first order to become the Queen of the Void. You said, we will obey. Suhai immediately stated the purpose of the Void, that he came to collect supplies. There is so much free labor, so don't use it for nothing. And this group of Loki are all local snakes, and there are definitely a lot of things they have walked through and seen. The collection efficiency is much faster than both he and Lorelei. By the way, besides you, there should be other Lokis, right? Do you know their location? Suhai stops President Loki and wants to know the whereabouts of the other 4 Loki. The other 4 Loki are Young Loki, Crocodile Loki, Black Loki, and Illusion Master Old Loki. Among them, the Crocodile Loki later bit off a hand of President Loki. The Black Loki reached an agreement with President Loki to leak the base of the 4 to the Loki group, which was wiped out. The Old Loki was a master of duplication illusions. When Thanos arrived, he used illusions to deceive Thanos, and then went to live on an unknown planet. When he was about to die, he wanted to go back to Asgard to see Thor. Time administration ceased. If Old Loki chose to stay on the planet, maybe he wouldn't be in the Void either. He later helped the female Loki to attract the attention of Ilias, and for this, he directly embodied the huge Asgard. In this group of Loki, the Old Loki has the highest magical attainments and perhaps the most powerful combat power. The reason for finding the location of the 4 is because Suhai remembers that there was a frog Thor and Mjolnir near the base of the group of 4. Thor the frog can leave it alone, but Mjolnir can still take it. As long as the right person is found, such as Thor or Jane, it is possible to create a new hammer god. Jane is on Earth and easy to find. Horse-faced Thor also knows the location, either in the Sakaar arena controlled by Gautian Zun, or in the collector's many collections. God King, I know there are 4 Loki nearby, they are very cunning, hiding in a place we don't know. President Loki said immediately. You don't know? Forget it, you go down first. Suhai waved President Loki back. Apparently President Loki at the moment hasn't made contact with Black Loki yet. It is speculated that there is Ilias doing things, and they do not have the ability to travel long distances. That is to say, President Loki and Old Loki should not be far apart, and it is not difficult to find out. Suhai flew alone in the air, looking down for the Old Loki. Suddenly, a few peeping figures appeared in the obstacles in the distance. Found it! Asterisk. Chapter 30 Thor, Mjolnir, the Frog. Too bad, that person found us. Old Loki noticed the sharp look from a long distance away. Just like the prey staring at the food, no matter where they flee, they cannot escape the fate of being caught. He has a mind to use illusion magic, and as an illusion master, even Thanos, who owns infinite gems, can deceive him. But Old Loki knew that even if he escaped, he couldn't keep running away. And his companion does not have his ability, and can only be caught by the other side. This monster. That old man Odin isn't so exaggerated, right? The youth version of Loki was already shocked by Suhai's powerful strength and lost the courage to run away. Black Loki nodded in agreement, seeing him, I feel like I'm facing Death God, no, it's more terrifying than Death God. Ow! Crocodile Loki didn't say the ability, but the ability of the old Loki can easily understand the meaning of the other party. Scary. Don't run away. In the short exchange of time between the four, Suhai had already fallen down with Lorelei. Suhai is not good at flight. The chicken charm of the 12 charms provides floating, the rabbit charm provides supersonic running, and the combination of the two can make people fly in the air. But not fast. Far less than the running speed of a single rabbit charm. Even so, the flight speed provided by the spell is sufficient for the time being. Because in Marvel, the ability related to flight is not prominent. Whether it is Iron Man, Eternals, Doctor Strange, Vision or Thor, etc., their flight speed is just average. Among them, Thor may be slightly stronger, and the speed also depends on the performance. Then there is Captain Marvel, whose flight speed is quite good. Very likely to reach the speed of light. It's just that Captain Marvel is still wandering around the universe and has no chance to meet. And head-to-head Suhai is also completely true. 4. Can you take me to your base? Suhai said familiarly after landing. Our base is rudimentary, if you don't mind, it's totally fine. The four looked at each other, and finally the steady old Loki came out to talk. A few people walked, and old Loki did not forget to say, are you also Loki? What do you think? Suhai raised an eyebrow. It's not like, if Loki in the parallel world is as powerful as you, what conspiracy is needed? I'm afraid it would be easy to become the king of Asgard. This doesn't fit Loki's setting. Old Loki said cautiously. Congratulations, you got it right, but unfortunately there is no reward. Suhai said, looking at the hammer in the Black Loki's hand. According to his observations, the Black Loki is not Mjolnir. Also, if Black Loki can actually pick up Mjolnir, how could he possibly stay with this small team? Already annexed other Loki and became king. As for what he said, he collected 6 infinite gems, that is to say, who wouldn't brag? Not to mention that the person who said it was Loki. Loki in the parallel world has the dream of being a king. It's just a pity that dreams are dreams and reality is reality. They don't have the aura of the protagonist, and they don't have strong strength. They are destined to be losers. Black Loki is no exception. Probably, only the old Loki, who has experienced all the plots and seen through everything, doesn't care about that position. Under the leadership of the four, they finally arrived at their underground base. Suhai waved a few people away. In the puzzled eyes of several people, a mass of yellow energy appeared in Suhai's right hand. Boom! The bursting ray emitted by the dragon talisman directly blasted a large hole in the ground. Immediately after, Source constantly blasting rays bombarding the ground. The explosion was deafening. The visual impact of the picture makes the youth version of Loki and others fearful, but at the same time they dare not make a sound of opposition. They might be able to resist once, but what about 2, 3, or even countless times? Looking at the other party's face, there is no sign of exhaustion at all. If the underground base is gone, it can be replaced, but if the people are gone, it is really gone. And they were also curious as to why Suhai did it. Soon, the answer is revealed. Something that everyone knew, revealed in the constant bombardment. The four Loki's eyes were full of wonder. What did they see? Mjolnir. The Asgard treasure is on top of their settlement. What's even more tragic is that they have lived here for so long, and they have never found it. Outrageous. Now, they could only watch as Suhai picked up Mjolnir. And many more. Picked up. Hiss. There was a sound of inhalation in the air. The black version of Loki quietly puts the hammer behind him. An indifferent gesture appeared on his face. If you brag about yourself, you have to cover it up when you kneel. After Suhai picks up Mjolnir, he ignores Thor the frog who may be nearby. Thor the frog, either a man named Simon or the real Thor. Because Thor once said that he was transformed into a frog by Loki when he was a child. It is also possible that Loki was locked in a jar at that time, the timeline changed, and it was cut into the void. Suhai has no interest in researching who the frog Thor is, no need. Suhai put Mjolnir into his space in front of several Loki and said to Loria, "Let's go, Lorelei, and see how the Loki collects." After that, Suhai ignored the dazed expressions of the Lokis and left with Lorelei. "For the rest of Loki, you look at me and I look at you." Ended? Is this what it feels like to be ignored? Very unfriendly. Asterisk. Chapter 31 Nova Fighter and Dark Star. Just after Suhai left. Inside the pit. Gollum. A glass bottle rolled down from the side. And then a series of frog calls sounded. Quack, quack. Crocodile Loki climbed over a few steps, tilting his head at the glass bottle. He stared at the frog in the bottle with wide eyes. The frog was apparently startled by Loki the crocodile, and slammed into the glass bottle and slid down again. "This is a frog." The youth version of Loki picked up the glass bottle and said uncertainly. "Probably. But frogs can live in glass jars for so long." Old Loki leaned in and looked closely. "As if I felt a familiar magic in the frog." "You feel that way too?" "I thought I felt wrong." Black Loki followed. The youth version of Loki stared at the bottle and thought about it for a while, then suddenly smiled. "Guys, you haven't forgotten that when we were young, we used magic to turn Thor into a frog. See if it's very similar." He raised the glass bottle in front of the three and shook it. The frog in the bottle almost fainted. Old Loki was silent for a while, then said faintly, "I remembered, isn't the magic fluctuation on the frog's body the same as our magic aura?" Forward. The Black Loki and the young Loki were stunned for a while, and when they felt it carefully, it seemed to be the case. The old Loki continued, "Have you ever thought about it? We all have the experience of turning Thor into a frog as a child. This frog has our magical breath, and there is a whole Mjolnir near the glass bottle that holds the frog." At the same time, a terrible thought appeared in the minds of the three of them. This frog is Thor. Brothers in their parallel world. Moreover, it was they in the parallel world that turned Thor into a frog. Unknown Loki, jealous of Thor, turns him into a frog and seals him up, before being caught by the Time Administration and cutting the timeline. The glass bottle and Mjolnir also fell into the void. With that said, things make sense all of a sudden. Following this analysis, Thor inside the bottle also recognized the identities of several people outside, and kept slapping the glass bottle. When old Loki saw this, the terrible guess in his mind became more and more certain. He quickly opened the glass bottle and tried to dispel the opponent's shape-shifting art. Then, a familiar figure in a cape appeared. Isn't it exactly who Thor is? Old Loki fell silent again. At the beginning, he had the idea of seeing his brother, and it even became his heart disease. Now the idea has come true. The scene of meeting Thor was so embarrassing. What is this? Frog Thor? The first time Thor appeared, he didn't ask about the identities of several Loki, nor was he lucky to be reborn, but roared, "Who was bombing the ground just now, and almost killed me? Also, where's my hammer?" After Suhai didn't know he was gone, Thor the frog was found and rescued by the Loki. It doesn't matter if you know. Since Thor can be turned into a frog by Loki for so long, it only shows that Thor's supernatural power is not strong at that time, and there is absolutely no power of awakening Odin. If he had the power of Odin, he would have been able to change back to his original form. It is also certain that this Thor's power is not awakening, and is very weak. See you, why didn't Loki use shape-shifting on the grown-up Thor? Not because it doesn't work. If it can really change, then when Avengers Alliance won, Loki directly points to a frog. In less than 3 minutes, the battle is over. Also, this is the void, not Asgard. After Thor is sealed and dropped into the void, his strength will not increase in the slightest, and it will remain at the moment before turning into a frog, or even weaker. What is Suhai worried about? As long as he dares to come to the door, Fist Education will understand. Back at the headquarters of the Loki group, Suhai couldn't help frowning at the little things that Loki had collected here and there. Just these things? Did you misunderstand my request? Or you didn't think about completing it seriously? According to Suhai's idea, let's not say get a few gems to collect back, at least get some high-tech equipment. And these Loki brought all the equipment used by some warriors. From the material, most of them are made of URU metal. Maybe it has something to do with Loki living in Asgard and only familiar with URU metal. The most famous thing is a double-edged sword like a propeller. It is Thanos' special weapon. The best record is to use it to smash Captain America's shield, breaking the law of shield indestructibility. It's a nice collectible. King of the Void, we also found some usable spaceships, but we couldn't bring them back. Loki said with sincerity and fear. Suhai nodded, and with a wave of his hand, he put away a lot of equipment, and went down to collect the spaceship under the leadership of the dragon set Loki. There are a lot of good things in this trip. For example, the Nova fighter of the Xandar Empire. The Dark Star, the spaceship of the Kree Empire. The Xandar Empire and the Kree Empire are the only two cosmic empires in the galaxy now. The Skrull Empire has been destroyed. Since they use it as the main battleship, it must represent their highest technological crystallization. If it can be studied well, it will be of great benefit to Warnerheim's technological advancement. Moreover, in the future, in the event of a confrontation with the two empires, it will also have a huge advantage. After all, if you know yourself and your enemy, you won't be in danger in 100 battles. Asterisk. Chapter 32 Return to Warnerheim, the importance of scientific research talents. God King, why do we collect these irrelevant things? A pile of rubble and iron is useless, but it will attract the attention of Ilias. President Loki tried to lean over while asking, but stopped halfway under Suhai's gaze. Faced with Loki, who loves tricks and backstabs, his vigilance must never be let down. Don't look at the Loki's respectful face, really give them a chance to find a backstab, you try what they will do. Suhai didn't want to be stabbed in the waist like Thor. It hurts a lot. Speaking of which, most Loki and Gandalf are a perfect match. One is the grey-robed magician, and the other is the self-proclaimed #1 magician in the 9 realms. Not doing magician work. Both of them filled up the points of melee combat, like what one-handed sword, two-handed sword, life, stamina, armor breaking. As long as it is useful for melee combat, everything will. Conversely, spells are used occasionally. Maybe magicians have a warrior's heart? Suhai casts a glance at the strangely thoughtful President Loki, knowing that the other party is testing him. You'll find out later. After speaking, Suhai put away the last battleship in front of him. The name of this battleship is quite loud. It appears in both Avengers 3 and Avengers 4, and even in Avengers Alliance 1, which is Thanos' mothership, the Holy Place. Thanos is the largest warlord in the universe, a regional overlord, known as the Crazy Titan. The military strength is strong enough to destroy many cosmic civilizations. Even the Xandar Empire and the Kree Empire are reluctant to provoke Thanos easily. In fact, with the volume of the Holy Place and the Diablo starship, it is the most difficult to retain in the void. Because Elrios will start to devour large objects. It is rare to find such a few warships today. Okay, the goal is almost completed, let's go first, you continue to collect, wait for me to come back next time. After searching what Loki found, Suhai was ready to go back. Lorelei held Suhai's hand obediently. Walk. Just go. The further you go, the better. When you go, the boss is still me. President Loki thought happily. After. He reacted suddenly. Ugh, are you leaving? Where to go? Here is the void. Come in and want to go? President Loki looked up, only to find that both Suhai and Lorelei had disappeared without a trace. Did you see it? Where did they go? President Loki asked the others excitedly. I don't know, they just disappeared in a swish. Loki was also stunned. They're not going back to their own timeline, are they? President Loki said dumbfounded. He understood why the other party wanted to collect the garbage of the void. These things are really useless if you can't escape the void. But if you can leave, then these are treasures. I'm still wondering why Suhai ordered them to pick up the trash, like a fool. In the end, the fool was actually me? Back to Warnerheim. Soon, Amora and Skirnir were recruited. Suhai took them to an open space where Amora had cast a medium-sized fantasy barrier that could effectively block Heimdall's perception. With a wave of his hand, several huge amounts of space battleships immediately appeared in the open space. The dark and cold huge battleship made Amora and the two of them speechless again in shock. This seems to be the Cres Diablo battleship. And this, I remember it is the Crazy Titan, the Nova logo on these fighters, isn't it the configuration fighter of the Nova Corps? My God! My Lord God King, shouldn't you be going to their home world to rob them? Since Amora has been living in Asgard, his understanding of cosmic civilization far exceeds that of Skirnir. In a moment, she recognized the origin of the highly iconic spaceship, and Roar couldn't help but scream. These forces are very powerful. Asgard is also reluctant to provoke each other. Amora's scalp tingles at the thought that Suhai might have snatched it from the opponent. Asgard represents the 9 realms, Kree Empire, Xandar Empire, and Thanos both represent galactic civilizations. This is the rhythm to offend all the forces of the universe. She didn't know what to say either. However, it was strange that she felt a sense of excitement after worrying about it. Sister, we picked up these things from the void. There is absolutely no problem with their origins. Lorelei spoke out to dispel Amora's worries. Several people do not know the origin of the void, so they are also dubious. It wasn't until Suhai gave a simple explanation that he understood the general idea. They realized instantly that the void was a huge amount of treasure. Just imagine, what is the concept that everything in the entire universe may be found in it? It's like they own the entire universe. If the technology contained in it can be thoroughly researched, Warnerheim's technology level will be directly elevated to the forefront of the universe civilization. All are ecstatic. However, Suhai is not so optimistic. There is technology, but there are no talents who study technology. If he followed the steps step by step, he couldn't wait. There must be scientific research talents. In the Marvel Universe, scientific research talents are also divided into 3, 6, and 9. A great person can equal a team. Just like Tony Stark, Ant-Man Pym, Reed the Rubber Man in the Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, etc., they can use the knowledge of the Earth to develop technologies that are difficult for cosmic civilizations to study. If Warnerheim has such a talent, even if there is no void treasure technology support, it can still greatly improve the level of technology. Warnerheim is still short of talent after all. Asterisk. Chapter 33 The Dwarfs of Nidvyar. The problem of scientific research talents cannot be urgent. There are only a few really smart people. Either a strong-willed superhero, or a lunatic with a mind of his own. It's almost impossible to work for people. At present, we can only hope that the researchers at Warnerheim can bring some surprises. Definitely, if you can sign in to get the right talent, then this problem will be solved. Loyalty is also guaranteed for what you get by signing in. Use the most assured. Suhai decides whether to go to other planets to check in if he is free, especially Earth. In the Marvel Universe, Earth is the absolute center. Special people and special places get together. I believe there will be rich harvest. Before going to Earth, though, there is one more thing to deal with. Nidweir, one of the 9 realms. Nidweir, the world inhabited by the dwarf. In mythology, Nidweir is the dwelling place of the Dark Elves. In Marvel, the two are just the other way around. The Dark Elves went to Walter Alheim. In the plan, the dwarf of Nidweir had to be recaptured. First, the origin of Ulu metal is Nidweil. It is well known that Ulu metal has many BTS. Second, the craftsmanship of the dwarf family is one of the best in the entire universe. Odin's king-class weapon, the Spear of Eternity, Thor's artifact Mjolnir, Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet, and later Thor's king-class weapon, the Storm Axe, were all made by the dwarf family. Thanos' adopted daughter, Gamera, has an Excalibur in his hand. The reason why it is called Roar is because this sword can break through defenses and kill an Asgard. This shows the importance of the dwarf family. As long as you can master the dwarf family, you have the ability to customize artifacts. Maybe Suhai can sign better weapons in the future, but others still need strong artifact buffs. So Suhai called Amora, and through her got the coordinates of Nidweir and the Earth. Majestic magic energy surges. The amount of energy required to teleport across galaxies is staggering. Later, when Thanos attacked the Asgard escape ship, Heimdall used dark energy to teleport the Hulk to Earth, only reluctantly once. Only the level of Suhai and Odin can easily afford the consumption of energy transmission across galaxies. Soon, a magic circle composed of blue energy gathered at the foot. Next moment, Suhai came to Nidweil. Surprisingly, when he came here, he found out that the dwarfs had no guards at all. Hard to imagine. As the only race of Nidweil, the dwarf people are actually defenseless against the outside world. Another hapless bastard who was fooled and lame by Odin. They trust Asgard too much, thinking that as long as they build their own equipment and supply Asgard, Asgard will protect their safety at any cost. It was true when Odin was in power. However, when Odin was banished to Earth by Loki, this agreement was voided. Not to mention whether Loki will sacrifice the Asgard for the dwarf clan. Even if Loki wants to send troops to protect the dwarf clan, he must have that strength. During Loki's reign, Asgard's armament was at its most slack. They are performing daily drama performances, promoting Loki's own achievements in Asgard, and lavishing money on himself, with a look of entertainment to death. Even the protector, Heimdall, was banished by Loki. If Thanos chooses to attack Asgard at that time, I am afraid that Asgard, led by Loki, will have no resistance. So, Loki is not fit to be king. Odin was right on this point. By the time Suhai gets closer to the center, the air becomes scorching hot and smells of wine. At this time, Dwarf finally discovered Suhai. The other party thought that Suhai was from Asgard, and hurried to inform the Dwarf King. The Dwarf family said that it is dwarf, but it is not short at all. The average height is more than 3 meters tall. Dwarf Wang Ai Kui is as high as 5 meters. Tell a joke, Marvel's dwarfs are so short. Suhai wants to drag the named guy out of the river. You call this a dwarf? The regular flame giant and giants of Jotunheim are short in front of them. The Aesir gods and the Warner gods are like children under 10 years old. Comparing the two, some people believe that the Aesir gods are dwarfs, and the dwarfs are giants. Dwarf Wang Ai Kui was very puzzled after seeing Suhai. According to past experience, every time Asgard sent people to at least the level of the 3 Asgard warriors, he basically knew them all. As for Suhai, it's a completely new face. Hello, Atri the Dwarf King, I am the king of the Warner Protoss, Suhai. God Warner? Is there a new king at Warnerheim? Atri has been focusing on drinking and blacksmithing, and their technology is all about blacksmithing, ignorant of the recent events in Warnerheim. Naturally, I don't know about the recent changes in the Warner Protoss. Well, I don't know what the respected God King Warner has to teach our dwarf family. Although Ai Kui was not sure of the authenticity of her identity, she did not dare to question it. Holding the idea that more is worse than less, his tone is very respectful. I just want to know if the dwarfs have any idea of changing their service target. Su-hai said lightly. What? Dwarf Wang Ikui was so frightened that his face turned from black to white, and he looked up at the sky subconsciously. After a while, he categorically refused. God King Warner, you should know that we dwarfs and Asgards have a history of cooperation for thousands of years. Before getting Odin easily, we could not cooperate with you, never. Possible. Atri knew a lot about the history of the Warner Protoss and the Asir Protoss, and also understood the situation of the two tribes. Now, suddenly a god king of Warner came to them and said, let them turn their backs on the Asir Protoss and follow them, wouldn't that kill them? Who doesn't know that the Lord of the Nine Realms is Odin? The Vanir Protoss has declined and lost its strength to contend. How could they lose the watermelon to pick up the sesame seeds? In order to prevent Su-hai from spreading his anger on them, he even mentioned Odin's name. From Atri's point of view, the Warner Protoss would not dare to offend Odin. Su-hai disapproved and said, Ai Kui, don't refuse so quickly, I want you to see a piece of history, and it's not too late to make a decision after you read it. Asterisk. Chapter 34 The Dwarf Massacre, The Despair of the Dwarf King. I won't accompany you to see any history. I won't cooperate with the Warner Protoss, you give up. If you choose to leave now, I won't tell Odin that you have been here. Ai Kui was a little impatient. His temper was not good. He drank a little wine just now, and his head was in a state of excitement. If it weren't for the fact that the other party was a god king of the gods, he would have already started to drive people away. It's not up to you. Su-hai strolled up and didn't even want to go. Ai Tri's complexion changed and changed. Quickly give the clan a wink. When the other dwarfs saw this, they stretched out their hands and rushed forward to stop them. And Atri took this opportunity to retreat and close the iron gate. Go away. In the face of several dwarfs blocking him with his own body, Su-hai did not make a deadly move. Raising his hand was a mental magic. The dwarf, who came to block it, paused, and his eyes turned red. Then, in Atri's astonishment, he blocked him from the door. What? I'm your king. Go and stop him. Dwarf King Ikui scolded in anger. At the moment, Su-hai has come to his side, on his arm. Ai Kui was about to get rid of it when he found a flower in front of him. The whole person seems to have entered a white tunnel. When he came out, he returned to Nidwheel. What's the situation? Ai Tri didn't understand the situation, he felt that what happened just now seemed to be a dream. Are you drunk? Hallucinations? From the beginning, there is no so-called god of Warner. Atri shook his head, trying to make himself more awake. A gust of cold wind blows. Ai Tri felt that her head was finally normal, so she was ready to go back. That's when. It's getting dark. Is it so late? I clearly remember that it was in the morning when I drank. It seems that I was really drunk. He looked up to see the sky, but when he looked up, he found a scene that he would never forget in his life. Ship, fleet. Atui stared blankly at the sky, it was not the spaceship he was familiar with. When Asgard came here, he used Bifrost, never a spaceship. Since they are not people from Asgard, who are these people who broke into Nidwheel? Didn't Asgard say he would protect them? And all enemies who want to enter the Nine Realms will be monitored and warned by Asgard in advance. If the opponent is not good, Asgard will send troops to destroy or use Bifrost to destroy directly. But now, why is this fleet okay? Why didn't Asgard come? Are these people just passing by and have no other thoughts? There are too many questions in my mind. Ai Kui couldn't figure out the other party's intention, so he wanted to hurry back and inform the clan to deal with it. It's just that he quickly discovered something big. Ai Kui could clearly see his clansmen and all the buildings, but he couldn't touch them and passed through them. The dwarfs don't seem to hear the orders given. At the same time, he also discovered that he was, no, another self. Another Atri, surrounded by the dwarf clan, came out and looked at the fleet with the same doubts. What the hell is going on? Atui grabbed her hair, lost in confusion. When he was in doubt, someone came to him at some point. Atri, look carefully, this is the future of Nidweel, and the end of the dwarf clan. If you choose to stay with Asgard, you're going to really experience it all. It's you, God King Warner. Atui realized that it wasn't a hallucination before, and also knew that what happened now was caused by the person in front of him. What did you do to me? Illusion. I don't need to cast illusions on you, everything that's happening now is history that has happened in a long time. Suhai replied calmly. Atri wanted to say something, but was caught by the fleet's next move. The unknowing fleet dropped one odd ring-shaped ship after another. Collision on the ground will directly destroy the building below. Then, a group of hideous-looking monsters emerged from the spaceship and began to slaughter the unprepared dwarf. The dwarf family is not weak, and has a strong innate racial advantage. A long forging career has also greatly enhanced their physical strength. However, they have not experienced war for thousands of years and have long forgotten what fighting is. Sora has the strength, but does not have the courage and experience to match. In the face of these unknown and ferocious monsters, the dwarf fled like a flock of lambs to be slaughtered. Not even the idea of fighting back. By now, everyone knows that the other party is not good. No, stop. Seeing this scene, Ai Kui was distraught, and he wanted to rush out to save his people. But he does not belong to this time, and Suhai also deliberately manipulates time so that he cannot contact reality. So no matter how painful Atri was, it couldn't be of any help in this massacre. This timeline's dwarf Wang Ikui also shot. As the king of dwarf, although he has no fighting experience, he has crushed Thanos' army in terms of strength. One person can block an army in one direction. But Atri was only one, and Thanos' army was boundless. Moreover, at this time, a spaceship flew out of the sky. A slender figure flew down from the sky, and with just a wave of his hand, an invisible force imprisoned Ai Kui, making him unable to move even with all his strength. Kin only wailing and watching their own people being slaughtered. Asterisk. Chapter 35 King Dwarf and Number 039, S Decision, the whole family joins the Warner Protoss. Have you seen it? This army belongs to the overlord of the universe Thanos. These are his most powerful 4 generals, and the one who binds you is Ebony Maw, one of the 4 generals, Thanos think tank and thug. By the way, the king of Asgard has been replaced now, and Odin is enjoying his old age on Earth. They will not come to help the dwarf family. How is it possible? How could such a thing happen? Odin clearly promised me that he would bless the dwarf family, why didn't he do anything? Ai Kui almost went crazy. Why not? It's very simple, Odin is old, he's out of control, even if he shoots himself at the moment, he can't repel the huge army of Thanos. Definitely, Asgard can also use Bifrost, but Nidweel will also be history. Suhai was very happy to answer his doubts. No. No. Where's Heimdall? Isn't that a way to see what happened to Nidweel? Could Asgard just sit and watch us be slaughtered? Atri was still in disbelief. I think about it, Heimdall has been wanted by Asgard at this time, and the current king is also singing and dancing, and he is at ease. When the Asgard people need the help of the dwarf family and come to you a few years after the massacre, they only find out, why did the dwarf family not already? Ironic, but true. When Thor went to the dwarf family in order to create a new weapon, he found that the dwarf family was gone. There is only one person left in the dwarf family that is sought after by the entire universe. In the entire clan, only Ikui barely survived because he was admired by Thanos. The price was a hand cut off, guaranteeing that Atri would never be able to build a third infinity gauntlet. Why is it the third one? Because there is also one in the Asgard treasury. The reason Hela says it's fake is because there are no infinite gems on the glove. Once you've got a gem, it's a real infinity gauntlet. The dwarf family is similar to the Warnerheim. Due to the presence of Heimdall, the dwarfs and Aesirs do not need other communication equipment. This also led to the fact that once Heimdall was out of office, both parties would be deaf and blind, with no knowledge of each other's situation. It was fine when Odin was in power, but who calls the current king Loki? In some ways, Asgard was at its most peaceful during Loki's reign. This kind of peace is established without regard to the 9 realms. During this period, Bifrost did not connect the other 8 realms even once. One is that they don't know what's going on, and the other is why should they care? Without the baggage of the other 8 worlds, the people of Asgard could not have lived more freely. Before the real news that Odin is not in Asgard, other civilizations in the universe will not dare to act rashly because of Odin's deterrence. In this way, there will be no war in Asgard, and no Asgard will die. You can drink and dance every day, just one word, cool. Atui didn't know what to say when he heard the explanation. Can only watch the tragedy happen. That feeling of powerlessness, hatred, remorse filled the whole heart. I want to know, you really didn't lie to me, is this all true? Atui said in a hoarse voice. I won't lie to you about this, the truth is the truth. In the world we are in, Thanos will also invade Nidweir in a few years because of a piece of equipment. If you don't make the right choice, history will once again repeat. Suhai said bluntly. Thanos. Ebony Maw. Asgard. Odin. Ai Kui covered his face with his hands and muttered a few names silently for a few minutes. Then he said in a low voice, I promise you. Our dwarf family will serve you Warner Protoss from now on, and you will provide us with protection. Smart decision. Suhai snapped his fingers, and the two entered the time channel again. Atui finally glanced at the road in the battlefield, Ebony Maw, who even slaughtered elegantly, and the iconic holy place number, and kept them in his heart. Back in Nidweir, Suhai released the dwarf's mind control. A few dwarfs shook their heads in confusion. After seeing Suhai, they seemed to remember the order to stop him, and hurried forward. Stop! Lord Warner God King is our guest. Ai Kui raised his hand to stop them. Several dwarfs are confused. It's strange, didn't we just let us stop him last second? Why did you become our guest in the next second? Before they could figure it out, Atri released the bomb again. Tell all the tribes, we will no longer provide any equipment for the Aesir gods for free. Any Asgard people who want the equipment or ulu metal made by our dwarf tribe must pay enough. Also, starting from today, our service object will be changed to the Warner Protoss, and the Warner Protoss will provide military protection for our dwarf family. Protect us from any invasion. Everyone who meets the great king of Warner Suhai must be treated with the most honorable etiquette, otherwise, I will deprive him of his identity. When the sound fell, Ai Tri invited Suhai into the palace to discuss the details further. Following Atri's order, the atmosphere on the field was condensed, and then discussions erupted. Will we annoy the Aesirs by doing this? What if they wage war on us? Can the Warner Protoss provide us with protection? Their power seems to be much worse than that of the Aesir Protoss. The 9 realms are going to be in chaos. The Aesir Protoss and the Warner Protoss are going to fight again. Asterisk. Chapter 36, The Sorrow of the Magic Sword Frost. The forging skills of the dwarf family are praised by the whole universe. Part of the reason is that the forging material is URU metal, and another part of the reason is the mechanical device in front of him called the furnace. The mechanism was built above a dead neutron star. Once the device is turned on, the energy of the neutron star can be mobilized to create the device. Only the huge energy of neutron stars can smelt ulu metal. With this melting pot, the dwarf family has become a legend in the high-level civilization of the universe. Even Guardians of Galaxy's tech expert Rocket Wangxiang has longed for it. Without a doubt, this is definitely a place of legend. So, old rules. System, sign in now. Su Hai gave the order. After testing, the check-in location is Nadweir, and the similarity reward is increased. Congratulations to the host who signed in to get the magic sword Frostmourne. Recognize the main version. Magic sword Frostmourne? The artifact that made Lorendan's first filial son Alsace? It can absorb the soul of the life killed by the sword, imprison it in the sword, feed back the magic sword and the sword holder, continuously enhance the user's power, and can play with the decedent's soul through the magic sword, transforming it into an undead servant. Definitely, Frostmourne has another nasty attribute: it will continue to erode the spiritual soul of the holder. Order becomes neutral, and then becomes chaos. It was because of Arthas that he directly changed his alignment, became a Death Knight, and then became a foul demon king. So, should I use it or not? Su Hai was in a tangle. Frostmourne's name, he naturally knew. It was forged by the dread demons, and after being enchanted by the first Lich King, it became one of the symbols of the Lich King. Said to be powerful and powerful, Arthas took it to kill one strong enemy after another, and he could also control the entire scourge. It was weak, and it was chopped into pieces by the ashes. However, it doesn't matter if you are strong or not, handsome is a lifetime thing. Handsome is over. It is really embarrassing to just erode the attributes of the holder. Su Hai's psychic resistance has been strengthened due to the blessings of the gods and the learning of psychic magic. Normal psychic attacks are ineffective against him. But Frostmourne's name is too loud, and it is said that it undergoes a mental test every day, and even a man of iron can't bear it. Su Hai noticed the system prompt and accepted the main version. Could it be? My heart moved slightly. I saw the right hand flipped, and a silver sword with an icy chill appeared in his hand. There is a devil's head at the lower end of its hilt, and the word magic sword is almost written on its face. At the moment of starting, Su Hai subconsciously activates spiritual magic, ready to resist spiritual erosion at any time. After waiting for a while, he didn't feel anything wrong. The only feeling is chill in the true sense. Sure enough, Frostmourne has truly recognized me, so its backlash ability won't apply to me. If it is another person, it is very likely that he will be attacked by the magic sword. In other words, this Frostmourne is an artifact that belongs to me alone. Su Hai's eyes lit up, and I have to say, this is very tempting. I don't know how many people are eager to get a Frostmourne, but he can have a truly harmless and exclusive magic sword. Atri also noticed Frostmourne in Su Hai's hand, and the moment he looked directly at the sword, he realized the strangeness of the sword. As a master blacksmith, he has experienced countless artifacts, and he can easily figure out the ability of the weapon as long as he starts it for a while. But this sword made him feel a chill. Can't touch. It will definitely happen if you touch it. Respected God King, this sword. I can feel the cries of my soul from above. This is a magic sword. Be careful. Ai Kui reminded kindly. Su Hai gave him a reassuring look. It might hurt anyone, but it definitely won't hurt me, I know the stakes. After saying this, Su Hai suddenly thought, maybe he can strengthen a wave of Frostmourne? There is a real blacksmith in front of you. To be honest, Frostmourne isn't weak, but for Su Hai, it's not a big bonus. In terms of combat power bonus and hardness, I am afraid it is not as good as a king-level weapon. And Su Hai didn't dare to use Frostmourne to slaughter all living beings, imprisoning souls to enhance the power of the magic sword. Here is marvel, the soul of decedent is going to the underworld. And the one who controls the soul is a super boss. Now that the multi-universe has appeared, it is really possible that the big guy is sleeping somewhere. If she finds out that someone has stolen her soul, will she find it on purpose? Su Hai dare not gamble. 1 or 2 souls are fine, but once you kill too many, there might be an accident. And he is not a murderer, he likes to kill and play when he has nothing to do. There is more than one way to improve ability, why take risks and not do personnel? Suhai also has an idea. Frostmourne is an ice-type artifact, so can Casket of Ancient Winters be integrated? When the Ulu metal is added, it will definitely not be worse than the Storm Axe, or the Twilight Sword with the blessing of the Eternal Fire. Handsome and powerful enough, he might even be his king-level weapon. Not much more handsome than that Aquaman trident? Perfect. Next, Suhai briefly chatted with AI Kui about specific matters. First of all, for the peace of mind of the dwarf tribe, Suhai will send an elite warrior and a golem force to Nidweir. It is a kind of propaganda, indicating that the dwarf family is covered by the Warner Protoss. In terms of military strength, Warnerheim has a big advantage, and a long-term troop stationed here will not affect the combat power at all. Asgard is different, there are few people, and it has to govern several other worlds, always preventing the two giants from doing things. Second, Suhai will build 1 or more portals in both places. If something happens to the dwarfs, Warnerheim is always ready to send a large army to help. Thanos' army gave Atri too much urgency. If there is a foreign invasion, the dwarf family can also withdraw to the Warnerheim base camp through the portal in time. With Warnerium's military strength, he is really not afraid of anyone. With the double guarantee, AI Kui quickly patted his chest and assured that he would work overtime to make a batch of equipment and provide the Warner Protoss troops as soon as possible. So far, the problem of the dwarf family has been completely solved. Suhai took away a batch of weapons and equipment and left. Next, is to find a way to solve the crisis of Bifrost. Asterisk. Chapter 37 Odin invites, King to King. Begging for support. City of God. After returning, Skirnir came to the door immediately. Suhai saw him and waved, just in time, I just have something to announce to all the people of Warnerheim. From today onwards, the dwarfs will work for us Warner Protoss. They will create custom Ulu metal gear for us. Skirnir's eyes widened, God King, how did you do it? They have the courage to turn their backs on Asgard. No, you said something wrong. Suhai shook his head, it's not that the dwarfs have turned their backs on Asgard, but the Asgard will abandon the dwarfs in the future. Only by serving us can they continue to survive as a race. Skirnir couldn't believe it at all. The dwarf family will leave the still strong Asgard and choose to join them. If you don't even serve the Warner Protoss, is it possible to cause a racial survival crisis? Moreover, Lord God King actually said that Asgard would give up the dwarf family in the future. How is this possible? The importance of the dwarf family can be understood as long as you are not a fool. Could it be that Odin is old and his head is stupid? The information contained in this sentence was too huge, and Skirnir thought about it for a while. He thought of another crop. The Warner Protoss now has the support of the dwarf family, one of the 9 realms. What does this represent? It means that at the moment Warner Protoss is qualified to compete with Asgard for a vassal state. Warnerheim has begun a war without gunpowder with Asgard. For the first time, the balance of power between the two sides has changed on the bright side. Although secretly Skirnir also knew that Warnerheim was bound to rise under the leadership of Suhai, and then fought against Asgard. But I didn't expect this day to come so quickly. Skirnir even thought, is all this a dream of a dying person? Dreamed that Warnerheim ushered in a great king and fulfilled his last wish? Suhai didn't know that Skirnir was getting more and more outrageous. Now, he is not so excited by the addition of the dwarf family. In his view, this is only a trivial step. In Marvel, after all, it depends on its own strength. The strength of the army under him is only to maintain the country he has laid down. Just look at Kong the Conqueror, who created the Time Mutation Authority to maintain the empire he laid, while he himself remained in seclusion behind the scenes. Skirnir, how are the materials for Amora's interstellar teleportation array prepared? Suhai asked. Skirnir returned to his senses and respectfully said, Amora magician has found suitable materials, and has built an interstellar portal in the stone giant's territory in the capital of the gods. Are we going to build a portal in the dwarf tribe? When Suhai heard this, he nodded in appreciation. The portal construction site that Amora chose was a good one. Placing the portal in the stone giant's territory, guarded by the stone giant, can reduce unknown risks as much as possible. If someone wants to come through the portal, they will face the attack of the stone giant. Wait for you to tell her, immediately go to the dwarf clan to set up a portal, and then contact the stone giant clan to send a troop to Nidweir with us. Yes. In his heart, Skirnir agreed with the garrison of troops in Nidweir. In his opinion, this was a very respectable thing. Even before the decline of Warnerheim, it did not really touch the other 9 realms. By the way, Lord God King. Skirnir suddenly remembered the purpose of his coming. During the time you were away, Odin sent someone to see you, and he wanted to invite you to Asgard to discuss important matters between the 2 races. Now Asgard's the messenger is waiting outside. Suhai smiled. Odin can't take it anymore. Warnerheim has grown so fast lately that it can hardly be described by common sense. The overall strength is the same day by day. If Odin can hold back, that's the problem. I am afraid that Odin came to invite him this time, and also wanted to inquire about information from him. Speaking of which, since he came to Marvel to the present, he has become the Warner King. Suhai had never even seen Odin's face. This the King of God is indeed not a small face. God King, do we have to agree? I'm worried that Odin might have some bad intentions, so it's better not to go. Skirnir had completely distrusted Odin. In his mind, Odin equals the devil. If I don't go to see him, doesn't it mean that I, Suhai, are afraid of him? Suhai straightened his back and said playfully, this side, we must meet. Not only do we have to meet, but I also let him bleed once. It was only then that he thought of using Casket of Ancient Winters to strengthen Frostmourne. As a result, Odin invited him to save face. How could he be worthy of Odin's kindness if he didn't do it? So, Suhai called Lorelei, brought a few mountain giants, and set off. Came to the clearing and saw the so-called Asgard messenger. It is the goddess of war Sif who has a one-sided relationship. For Sif, Suhai's senses are good. When Thor was reckless, Sif also eased the relationship many times, much more sensible than Thor. God Warner. After Sif saw the person who came, he saluted neither humble nor arrogant. After standing up, she saw the mountain giant behind her, her eyes full of solemnity and shock. Is this the golem? How is it so big? Sif, it's been a long time, it's better to go home and have a look when you have time. Suhai was also polite, and he digged Odin's corner when they met. What's more, Sif is from the Warner Protoss, so he is naturally very righteous. Sif didn't know the meaning of it, and smiled unguardedly, I will definitely come back to see more. Then, she looked up to the sky roar and shouted, Heimdall. Soon, Heimdall responded. The golden light representing Bifrost fell, and Suhai walked up with someone. King to King, coming soon. Asterisk. Chapter 38 This old man is dismounting again? Bifrost. As one of Asgard's iconic buildings, the degree of luxury naturally goes without saying. The central part of the rainbow is like a rotatable turret. When using the Guardian Sword or the Spear of Eternity as the key, a huge amount of energy can be gathered to attack all enemies of Asgard. It is such an artifact that Suhai has been slow to declare war on Asgard. As the manipulator of Bifrost, Heimdall has been guarding this place for thousands of years. He was wearing a golden armor with a pair of big horns symbolizing bravery on his helmet, which was the supreme glory of Asgard. As you can tell by the way he dresses, Heimdall is fully integrated into Asgard. At this moment, facing Suhai, the Warner King, Heimdall still maintains the same action for thousands of years. He just said plainly, King of Warner, the Father of God is here. Suhai had no other words, nodded slightly, and passed Bifrost under the guidance of Sif. Heimdall is impossible to win. As the King of Gods, it symbolizes Warner's face, and it is impossible for him to lick his face to draw relationships. Warnerheim's latest moves have caught Heimdall's attention. Not a good face is also expected. Humph, obviously from the Warner clan, facing the Warner King, he actually put on a stinky face, as if someone owed him. Lorelei curled his lips, expressing disdain for Heimdall's performance. Although she is also against Odin's rule, she still maintains the proper etiquette when facing Odin. This is the elegance of being a noble. Sorry, venerable God King, Heimdall has always been like this, even in the face of Thor and Loki, he doesn't have many expressions, so our God King will rest assured to give him the task of guarding Bifrost. Sif explained hastily. It's okay, I appreciate Heimdall's harshness to his position. I believe that all superiors would like to have such a serious and loyal subordinate. Suhai said casually. He does appreciate Heimdall. However, the two sides have different positions, and it is destined to be only appreciation. If the two sides really want to fight, he will not stay. Sif breathed a sigh of relief and recognized Suhai even more in his heart. Bifrost is much stronger than expected. Even a large tonnage mountain giant walked on it, except for the heavy footsteps, without shaking at all. Walking on the road of Golden Hall. The Asgard people were attracted by the tall mountain giants, and they were all amazed. The soldiers in charge of maintaining order looked at the mountain giants with a solemn expression. They are excellent fighters, battle-hardened and brave enough to wield their spears at any enemy. Later, even in the face of the almost invincible Hela, they charged desperately until they fought to the last man. But bravery returns to bravery, and those who cannot be beaten still cannot be beaten. In the face of the high mountain giants, they have realized that they are by no means an opponent to fight alone. The fist bigger than their entire body slammed on them. I am afraid they will lose their combat effectiveness on the spot. Some people who have experienced divine warfare are even more worried. The stone giants who fought with them at that time were far less big than the mountain giants, and could cause huge damage to them. What about now? Cannot imagine. I am afraid that it takes a team to fight together to defeat a mountain giant. Sif walked aside and felt powerless when he saw the timidity flashing in the soldier's eyes. Not to mention these soldiers, even if it is her, how can she fight a few such giants? One can also fight with agility. Once there are more than two, she is by no means an opponent, and can only flee in embarrassment. It's hard to see what happened to Warnerheim over the years. Why did the stone giants, which were still within the acceptable range, become so terrifying? Even Asgard's formidable enemies, the flame giant and giants of Jotunheim, are no match for these monsters. A smile appeared on Suhai's mouth. The purpose of shocking has been achieved. Why did he bring mountain giants to Asgard? It's definitely a courtesy. When Odin sent Thor to Warnerheim to deter them, he should have thought of such a day. You want to frighten me, can't I frighten you now? In this way, the group came to the gate of the Golden Hall under the awe-inspiring eyes of the Asgard people. Waving the mountain giant to stay behind, Suhai walked in with Lorelei. With Sif leading the way, there is no obstruction along the way. However, Suhai discovered one thing. The soldiers guarding Asgard seemed to have received some orders, and they seemed to turn a blind eye to him, the God King of Warner, and all of them performed their duties. If Suhai hadn't seen Thor2, a group of dark elves had easily caught Golden Hall off guard, and he almost thought these soldiers were the best of Heimdall's best. Okay, another wave of dismantling. Suhai didn't like Odin's move at all. This year, the comparison is strength. After a few minutes, Suhai finally met the King of Asgard, the Lord of the Nine Realms who was listed as an imaginary enemy in the early stage, Odin. Odin's face was solemn and solemn. After seeing Suhai coming, he stood up and said peacefully, "Finally see you, young Warner King." Asterisk. Chapter 39 Verbal Confrontation, The Aggrieved Odin. Hey, when I see you, I remember when I was fighting with the previous Warner God King Njord thousands of years ago. We fought for hundreds of years, and we were inseparable. Unfortunately, time is ruthless. I didn't expect such a powerful God King Njord to die young, it really shouldn't be. Did you know? When I knew about the eternal sleep of God King Njord, how painful it was to lose a good friend and opponent. Even the excitement of becoming the Lord of the Nine Realms was gone. I didn't expect that in a flash, thousands of years passed by so quickly, and Warnerheim finally ushered in a 20-year-old young and powerful God King. Suhai, I sincerely hope that you can inherit the will of God King Njord and develop Warnerheim well. After Odin greeted Roar cordially, he rambled on. It seems to have fallen into memory, recalling the time when the Aesir and Warner Protoss fought. When Suhai heard this, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Good guy. What an old fox. Odin said this, very meaningful. These few words are slightly changed, and Odin is speaking to him bluntly. Suhai, you didn't know where you were when I fought your last God King at Warnerheim. When Njord was there, we fought for hundreds of years. In the end, Labor and Capital won, Njord lost, and died within a few years. But I became the Lord of the Nine Realms and the final winner. Do you want to fight me? Better look in the mirror and see what happens to Njord. So, you'd better stay in Warnerheim honestly, develop your country well, and don't think about turning the world upside down if you have nothing to do. I, Odin, since I can beat up the last god Warner, I can beat you too, but you can't beat me. In this regard, Suhai said, neither humble nor arrogant, King of Asgard, if God King Njord finds out, your old friend has missed him for so long, and he will miss you very much, he is so lonely. As for Warnerheim, in fact, my people love and trust me so much, and I have the confidence to lead them to new heights that no one else can match. Why does it feel like this kid is saying, let me hurry down and see Njord? Odin frowned slightly, after all, he was old and mature, and he returned to nature in an instant. Through Suhai's words, Odin also knows that Suhai is very confident that he can develop the Warner Protoss well, and his ambitions are quite large. Trouble. These thoughts flashed through his mind, and he warmly invited Suhai to come and sit beside him. When he saw Lorelei, he felt extremely depressed. This witch really doesn't know what to do. It took him so much thought, but in the end he turned his head and surrendered to the Warner Protoss. Thinking of this, Odin still smiled and said, Lorelei, how are you and your sister in Warnerheim? You've been to Warnerheim for so long, when are you going back to Asgard to see your past friend? Lorelei first glanced at Suhai, thinking of Heimdall's performance. She couldn't help but feel the same way. Odin God, thank you for your concern, the great Warner King trusts us very much, my sister and I have a very good time in Warnerheim, feel satisfied like never before. As for her friends? What are they? I've been in dungeon for 600 years and haven't seen any friends. Odin's smile froze, and his heart became more and more dissatisfied with Lorelei. Just call him Roar, and call Suhai the great God King. In front of so many people, mentioning the days of being locked up in Asgard dungeon. Why didn't you say why you were locked up for so long? So disrespectful. The atmosphere suddenly cooled down. Ahem, King of Asgard, I'm actually very grateful to you. Suhai forced back a smile to break the embarrassment. Lorella and her sister Amora are indeed Asgard's best magicians, beauty and wisdom coexist. I am very grateful that you sent them to Warnerheim, they have made a great contribution to the Warner Protoss in a very short period of time. Lorelei smiled sweetly, and said in cooperation, we are so powerful, it's all under your command, God King. Odin only felt that there was a gas block in his chest, and he couldn't get it out. Inexplicably, I thought of a word I once learned in Midgard, a raccoon dog on a hill. A good couple is enough for a man and a woman, and they cooperate so well. Are you trying to piss me off alive? What's more uncomfortable is that he can't turn his face. After all, the other party didn't say anything bad. Even the God King of the other party opened his mouth to thank himself. Even if he knew that it was very likely to be ironic, Odin could only pretend to be confused. He couldn't say that he sent charming sisters to cheat the Warner Protoss, right? That's really turning heads. By now, Odin also understood one thing: Suhai is more difficult than he thought. This kind of difficulty is not only ambition, but also wisdom. Vigorously reform and develop the military. In just a few days, the Warnerheim, which has been divided for thousands of years, has been unified, and the mother of the stone giants has been recovered. At the moment Odin can't guess Suhai's strength, but he still has full confidence. Only awakening how strong can the power of the God King be? What's more, it's still a 20-year-old little guy. No matter what, he can't possibly lose to a 20-year-old god, right? He is the father of God who fought in the 9 realms, not the unsatisfactory Taihanin of Thor. Plus, Heimdall has been saying for a while now that Suhai never left the palace, nor did he see him practicing his ability. Empty ambition and wisdom, but do not pay attention to their own strength improvement. Odin is even less worried about losing to Suhai. Yes, you will definitely not lose. So comforting himself in his heart, Odin finally breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, Suhai was finally ready to say a careful thought: King of Asgard, how about we make a deal? Asterisk. Chapter 40, a deal is reached, Odin is in charge. Trade, what do you want to trade with me? Odin became interested. Suhai smiled, and instead of directly speaking about the transaction, he talked about irrelevant topics. I heard that Thor was sent to Midgard by you and deprived him of his divine power. Is that true? Odin's face turned black. Do you have the nerve to say this? Not because of you. Just for a moment, Odin skillfully concealed the past with a laugh. Ha ha ha, there is such a thing. As the crown prince of Asgard, Thor naturally needs to exercise more. I sent him down to hone his temperament. Suhai nodded, took a sip of the fine wine placed on the table, lightly felt the taste between his lips and tongue, and suddenly said, Thor did not meet the requirements you set. I wonder if he is still a man now. Mortals? There is no way to get Mjolnir's approval. Odin squeezed the armrest of the seat tightly, then released it, nodding hard in agreement. How do you know he's not recognized? Guess. Suhai lied without blushing. Since I saw him for the first time, I have understood his temperament. After knowing this, I don't need to think about the final result at all. With his temper, you can't get your approval. Odin took a deep breath. He felt that even in the past 1,000 years, he was not as angry as he was today. What is this? Did Odin not educate his son well? Or that his son is too bad? However, Chi returned to Chi, and Odin had nothing to say. After all, Suhai is only 20 years old, while Thor is more than 1,500 years old. The difference between the two is so many years, but the ability is just the opposite. Compared with the other party, Thor is really nothing. Roar! The child Thor is too self-willed. But I can feel his potential. If he can fully realize his true ability and use it, his achievements can even surpass me. Even if it was the truth, Odin didn't want the other party to belittle Thor too much. It was related to his Odin's face, so he tried to use Thor's future potential to refute the other party. Thor's potential is indeed strong. Even stronger than him, stronger than Hela. Suhai didn't bother with Odin any further. What if Thor's potential is stronger? Can he be stronger? You are as strong as you are, and I will hang up directly. Can't kill you. Suhai nodded in agreement. No matter what, he had to give Odin a little face. I can also feel that Thor does have great potential, but before further developing his potential, at least let him be recognized. If he can't see his own problems, no amount of potential is useless. Odin agreed and felt helpless. What if Thor doesn't live up to his expectations? He didn't do it either. Could it be that he had to come forward and tell Thor his problems in person? Do you still need face? Even if he said it directly, would Thor listen? At this moment, Odin suddenly understood something and looked up at Suhai. The deal you said. Playing with a glass of wine, Suhai said, I heard that Midgard has developed very rapidly recently, with great development in humanities, technology and politics, so I want to go to Midgard to learn some experiences and provide ideas for the development of Warnerheim. Besides, the scenery of Midgard it is also very beautiful, just to enjoy it together. Exactly, I can drop by to find Thor and help him find his way. Odin thought about it carefully. God King Warner is going to Earth, just to learn the experience and enjoy the beauty? Is it really that simple? Could it be that there is something big on Earth that I don't know about recently that has caught the attention of the other party? After thinking about it for a long time, Odin had no clue. How could he know that Suhai was looking for a special place and a special person to sign in? The train of thought returned to Thor. Odin thinks it might work wonders if Thor's former rival, Suhai, stimulates Thor. With Thor's unwillingness to admit defeat, how could he allow his opponent to provoke him all the time? What do you want? Odin, who thought it was feasible, asked rhetorically. He didn't believe that Suhai would be so kind to help Thor for free. Since the other party said the transaction, there must be something to ask for. Suhai smiled like a fox. It is said that you captured a box when you were fighting the giants of Jotunheim. I just recently wanted to make an artifact and needed it as a material. Casket of Ancient Winters. Odin squinted his eyes trying to tell the truth. He was worried that Suhai was trying to get the Casket of Ancient Winters and hand it over to Lauf, the leader of the giants of Jotunheim. In this way, the giants of Jotunheim and Asgard are incited to war. Warnerheim is taking advantage of the fishermen and even teaming up with the giants of Jotunheim. Suhai saw Odin's concern. In fact, he had absolutely no idea of joining forces with the giants of Jotunheim. Because the giants of Jotunheim don't deserve it. The giants of Jotunheim, who lost the ancient giants, could not pose a threat to Asgard, even if they got the Casket of Ancient Winters. In his plan, the giants of Jotunheim will also be conquered sooner or later. So, no need to bother helping the giants of Jotunheim. In order to dispel Odin's guess, Suhai took out Frostmourne. This is the weapon, I want to make it even more powerful. The moment Frostmourne appeared, Odin sensed something was wrong. This sword has a ghost. It seems to erode people's souls. Lorelei also felt the discomfort from the soul, and subconsciously grabbed Suhai's cuff. After a while, Odin smiled. He believed what Suhai said. Frostmourne is indeed a good combination with Casket of Ancient Winters. At the moment he even had the idea to give the Casket of Ancient Winters to Suhai as soon as possible. Judging from his experience, this Frostmourne will corrupt people's souls. There is no chance that anyone will hold it for long. As long as Casket of Ancient Winters and the magic sword are integrated, this erosion may be stronger. Perhaps without him, Suhai is very likely to be killed by the magic sword. But Odin never knew that the magic sword would hurt everyone except Suhai. It is good. Great. Odin nodded immediately and said, I agree to this deal. As long as you can help Thor gain recognition, I will give you Casket of Ancient Winters. Then, happy cooperation. Suhai also smiled. Odin is out. His thoughts are too good to guess. In Suhai's opinion, Casket of Ancient Winters is a complete giveaway. Thor is the designated protagonist, and there may be some deviations due to Suhai's reasons, but in the end, he will definitely get Mjolnir's approval. It's the same with or without Suhai's help. At that time, he only needs to walk in front of Thor once, and it will be completely okay. It's a complete white wolf with empty gloves. Both Suhai and Odin are satisfied with this deal. After another harmonious conversation, this king-to-king meeting came to a successful conclusion. Because of poor information, Odin is doomed to lose completely. Asterisk. End of the chapter. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.